Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. Today we're going to be talking about the transfer portal, and I'll get into that coming up here momentarily. But first, let me say I've got two shout outs coming up at the end of the video, so please stay tuned for those. And in case you haven't heard, Urban Meyer was fired last night as the coach of the Jaguars. I'm not surprised by it. Yes, he's a great head coach. He's won everywhere he's ever been, but the NFL is different than college. In college, if your quarterback doesn't like you, he can just transfer. In the NFL, if the quarterback doesn't like you, then the owner has to choose, do I want my once-in-a-lifetime quarterback or do I want my head coach? And generally, they usually pick the quarterback. So I thought it would be after the season, but they went ahead and pulled the plug, so I'm not surprised by it. If you have any thoughts on that, please feel free to let me know. But on to the transfer portal conversation. I know I mentioned, I believe it was Sunday, that I was going to talk about this coming up one day this week. I wanted to go ahead and get people's opinions on whether or not they like the portal, because me personally, I think there's good and bad in the portal. I know my man Matt, who subscribed to the channel on Sunday, said that he liked it, but I think overall it's bad for the sport. And I'll tell you why. I think that it's pretty much turned college football into a free agent market, which if you follow professional sports, you know all about the free agent market, especially baseball. The baseball free agent market is tracked more than the NFL or the NBA or the NHL. But that's pretty much what college football has turned into because of this. The number one recruit in America yesterday, on the day of early signing day, he chose Jackson State over Florida State because of a $1.5 million deal. And you're not supposed to go to college because a school pays you $1.5 million. You're supposed to go where you think you have the best chance to win. So obviously money had something to do with that. But I'm just talking about overall. The whole entire transfer portal was supposed to be for the better of the players, and it's turned into a better for football reasons. It was supposed to be, let's say a player goes to a certain school and he's promised by the head coach who recruits him that he'll be the starter at whatever position he's coming for, and he gets there and finds out the coach lied and he's backup or he's third string. Well, in that case, the player felt like he was lied to, so he transferred. Or let's say, for example, where I live at, there's a lot of people that I talk to on the daily basis because of what I do for a living that are in high school. And I ask them, hey, you know where you're going to go to college at? And a lot of them say, somewhere around this area. And some of them say, a small college in Virginia or a small college in Tennessee or a small college in North Carolina, because they say they want to get away for a while. And then they get there and they realize they missed their family. They made the wrong decision. They want to transfer back home. Or let's say you want to get away and you transfer to a college the other side of the country, and then after a year of being there, your mom gets deathly sick or your dad gets deathly sick. So you transfer back home to be with your mom or dad. That's what it's supposed to be for. But it's turned into, for example, Spencer Rattler. I'm not going to announce where he's going to. I'm sure everybody knows by now, but I'm not going to say it because after the bowl games, I'm going to have to come on here and do another video about where some of these transfer players are going to. But it's clear where Spencer Rattler transferred to, that he's only transferred there because he wants to start. He don't care anything about winning. He don't care anything about competition. He wants to go where he can start. And that's not what the transfer portal is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be for personal reasons, not for football reasons. You look at JT Daniels. He transferred to Georgia only because of the fact he lost his job at USC. He didn't want to compete. He transferred. Kenneth Walker at Michigan State was a backup running back at Wake Forest. He wanted the ball more. He transferred to Michigan State. And that's not what the transfer portal is supposed to be about. But not only that, I forget the exact number. If anybody knows the exact number, please feel free to put it in the comment section. But I want to say it was somewhere around 690 players have transferred since August, and only 16% of those players have found a new home, which is out of every 10 players that transfer, less than 2 find somewhere to go. So not only are you absolutely killing your chances of getting a scholarship because you're not playing anywhere, if you're going to college to play NFL football, how are you going to play when you're not playing college football? You can't go 3 years without playing football and then expect a big-time NFL contract. So it's not helping you academically or athletically when you transfer and never announce a new home. And it's taken any sign of being a competitor out of the players, because when they've got to compete for a job, they transfer. If they don't get the job, they transfer. And that's not what it's meant to be about. Now, there are some times, like you look at the LSU quarterback, Max Johnson. He transferred because he wanted to play for Ed Orgeron, and Ed Orgeron is no longer the coach, so he left. So there are times when I understand when players transfer. But to me, when you transfer just because you weren't starting, then that means you don't want to compete. You have no sense of caring about competing, and you have no sense of caring about winning. All you want to do is go somewhere where you can be the starter. And I think that's why Spencer Rattler announced where he's going, because he knows he can go there and he can start. And not only that, you look at Quinn Ewers, and if you don't know the full story behind that, Quinn Ewers is the quarterback who skipped his senior year of high school to go to Ohio State, and he got almost $1.5 million in endorsements with the NIL to go to Ohio State and skip his senior year of high school, and he went there and didn't play. We know Stroud was their quarterback, so now Quinn Ewers has announced he's transferring. And I'm not saying they can, and I'm not saying they will, but let's say the NIL people try to sue Quinn Ewers or sue his family, because obviously you didn't get no return on investment when you give the kid $1.5 million to sit on the bench. They didn't give the kid $1.5 million to sit on the bench. I can promise you that. So now he's transferring because he didn't play. Will he play where he's going to now? Yeah, probably so. But I'm not saying they can or they will, but let's just say those companies try to sue him to get their money back. Is that possible? I don't know. But is that what we're going to come to? And I just don't think that's good for college football. It's supposed to be you go somewhere where you want to play, but you also want to win, and somewhere where you've got to compete to play. Not just you're a crybaby and you didn't play where you was, so you're leaving. That's not what it's about. And now we've had Dabo Swinney come out. He's against it. NC State coach Dave Doran came out. He's against it. Lane Kiffin has said it's destroying college football. So maybe you'll see more and more coaches come out and speak out against it, and they'll somehow, some way put some kind of a stop to it. And I know some people try to say it's nothing but fair because coaches can do it, and yes, that's true. But first of all, you got to look at it. Yes, coaches do that, but we're talking about 40, 50-year-old men, not 18, 19-year-old men. There's a big difference. And everybody's been 18, 19 years old before. And if you can be 18, 19 years old and you ain't got to compete for a job, or you just got to leave to go somewhere else, then you're going to do that instead of making logical decisions. All you care about is, hey, I want to play. So to me, using the coaches for an example is really not fair, because they're doing it for their future. They're doing it for business reasons, whereas the players are only doing it because they want to play. So there's a big, big difference in comparing the coaches and comparing the players. The coaches are grown men, and most of them think like grown men. If you hang out with 18, 19-year-old kids, if you hang out with 20 of them, 15, 16 of them are going to act like they're 14 or 15, and then you're going to have 4 or 5 they're going to act like they're 40-something. So everybody is different. So not all 18, 19-year-old kids are going to think logically. So if one person gets in their head and tells them to transfer, that's what they're going to do. So if you have any thoughts on the transfer portal and whether or not you think it's good, because I think it's good as far as like right now when it's bowl season, everybody's sitting back talking about, where's this player going to go? Where's this player going to go? And like I said, I got to come back on here after the bowl games to talk about where some of the players are going. Some still haven't announced where they're going. And if you look at stats show that the majority of them aren't going to know where they're going. But there are some that won't announce where they're going until, February, March, April. So it pretty much makes college football a year-round sport because now you spend the entire offseason looking at what transfer kid is going to go here, what transfer kid is going to go there. But just because it makes it more interesting and entertaining to talk about during the offseason doesn't mean it's better for the sport. And I just don't think that all these kids transferring and only 16% finding a new home is good, because not only are you not getting a scholarship, you are destroying your NFL career because you're not playing. Ain't nobody going to want you if you've gone 2, 3, 4 years and you ain't played. So I think it's bad overall for the sport, and I do think now that Dabo and Dave Doran and Lane Kiffin have all came out pretty much spoken out against it, I do think there will be a stop to it eventually, but I don't know who, because Mark Emmer is the biggest goofball in the history of the world. He makes $3 billion a year, I think, to just sit at home and eat Fruit Loops all day long. So Mark Emmer's not going to stop it, but I do think somehow, some way, eventually one day, somebody's going to stop it, and not necessarily stop it completely, but take it back to what it was originally intended for, which is if a player decides, hey, I thought I wanted to leave home, but I really don't. Then you transfer back home, or you transfer to a college and your mama or your daddy gets sick, you want to be with them, you transfer back home. That's what it's supposed to be for, not just, I came here to be the quarterback and I'm third string, so I'm leaving. That's not what it's intended to do. So Mark Emmer ain't going to stop it, but I do think somehow, some way, there will eventually be some kind of a stop put to it. But that's just my personal opinion. Please feel free to give me your thoughts and your opinions on what you think about the transfer portal. Do you think it's good or bad? And not just for entertainment reasons, because we get to talk about who's going where all off season, but is it good or bad for the college football sport in general? I don't think it is, but I always enjoy reading your feedback, so please feel free to let me know. My shout-outs today go out to my man Wayne, who subscribed to the channel on Tuesday. He is a huge Clemson fan. And also my man Pee-wee, who lives in Columbia, South Carolina. He subscribed to the channel yesterday. So Wayne and Pee-wee, thank both of you guys so much for subscribing. And now if you do so choose to comment on any video at any time, you will be eligible for our 1,000 subscriber giveaway we'll be having when we get to 1,000 subscribers. So give the video a thumbs up, tell your friends, tell your family, and thank you again so much for subscribing. I told my wife yesterday that I wanted to be cremated when I died, and she asked me why I wanted to be cremated. I told her that was my last chance to have a smoking hot body. And that is your dad joke of the day. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.